Yes, we are live. We are live on today'scalifornia.com, live on CoachellaValley.com. We are also live all over Twitter. Shout out to Sage Alvarez, my main man. My name is Barry Long 2. I'm Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. I am the second. And Sage, what's going on, boss? How you doing?
And what's going on? Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. Barry Long the second. And appreciate you, man. I see you've been doing so much, bro.
I see what you've been doing on Twitter, bro. We got like over 10,000 views or impressions. I see your work. I see you, man.
The people on Twitter are showing up, man. The people on Twitter love me and I love them, and we all share a mutual bond with each other, and my community grows day in and day out. We grow, and we all enjoy each other.
And speaking of that community, we got my man Moe Murphy going to be joining us here in just a moment. Moe Murphy is the vice president of Off the Ball Network. He is one of the most influential guys coming up in the podcast network. We are lucky to be joined by him. We are blessed. So we're also going to talk about that blowout game last night. Y'all saw the Cowboys look really good. The defense is stepping up. We're going to talk about that too. We're also going to talk a little college football with Moe Murphy. We did not get a chance to address that Sunday night thriller between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night. We're going to talk about that as well. So, without any further ado, let's bring in my man, Moe Murphy. Moe, how you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm good, fellas. What's going on? Appreciate y'all for having me, bro, for sure.
For sure, man. We see you got the Cowboys gear on, so I know you're happy today.
Yeah, hey, to be 2-1 right now, to have a winning record, have something to celebrate about, look good. Hey, I'm not overreacting. Beating Philly, I'm glad we're where we at right now. Rather be 3-0, obviously, but hey, we had to run into them, them reigning Super Bowl champs week 1. Not a good circumstance, but we good. I love what Dallas got. I love what the future got, and I love that our division looks so bad. We should run away with this division this year.
Absolutely, man. And
I agree.
It had to feel really good beating Philly. My best friend Sean McNeil back home in Virginia is like the biggest Cowboys fan, and he posted online yesterday. I hope we put up 60 on them.
Yeah, running up the score. Like it's that kind of when we was up. Don't take the brakes off. Like it's that kind of rivalry. You got to bust Philly. Make a statement too. Some people gonna downplay that victory. Like, y'all are better than them. Y'all supposed to win, but there's ways to win. And like if you struggle with Philly, we get criticism. Oh, it's just Philly, you get criticism. But hey, we did what we were supposed to do, being the better team.
Absolutely. We're gonna dive deeper into that game here shortly. But I want to pick your brain about college football because I've been watching your stuff, man. You know a lot about college football. And it's been kind of like just between two teams the last few years. We've seen Clemson and Alabama. It feels like every single year. Yeah, Georgia might sneak in there. Notre Dame might sneak in there. But ultimately, they don't have a chance to win the national championship. But this year, it kind of feels like there's more parity in college football. Of course, you got Alabama number 1, but you got a lot of undefeated teams that are making some noise like Georgia, Penn State, Oregon. Shout out to all the Oregon fans out here. Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Notre Dame, who I really like. So out of all those teams that are undefeated in the top 10, who do you think will challenge Alabama the most?
I'm a mess you up with this one a little bit.
You gonna mess me up?
I think their matchup this Saturday might be the most challenging matchup they're gonna have all year, at least until the playoffs, with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss has the recipe to beat Alabama. I'm not calling an upset. I'm not saying Ole Miss gets the job done. But if I look at how Bama looked against Florida, they're about to play. Florida has a good offense. People were talking about whether, Richardson should have been playing. Obviously, he was hurt. So Emory Jones did that and almost beat Alabama. I mean, with the 2-pointer not going their way, they could have tied Alabama, went into overtime. We don't know where that game could have went from there. We're looking at the two best quarterbacks. We're about to watch the two best quarterbacks play against each other, and Matt Corral and Bryce Young. So far through 4 weeks, those are the two best quarterbacks in college football. And that's the recipe. Ole Miss's offense, the way they run, high-powered, get it done, score a lot of points, throw the ball a lot. That's the recipe to beat Alabama. Florida showed that making big plays, and I think Ole Miss will do that to a higher level. The only question I have about Ole Miss is, can they get a stop? Because that's what's going to matter in this game. It's not about a great defensive game. Can you get a stop? This is going to be a high-scoring game. Both offenses are going to come out. I just think Ole Miss the way their team is built, I feel like they're built to beat Alabama. That's just me personally. I'm not in love with some of the undefeated teams as much. Like, I think they're bound to fall. I think Penn State's bound to fall.
Really?
Whether it's to Ohio State, whether it's to Iowa, I think they're bound to fall. I just don't love the teams. A lot of undefeated teams' offenses aren't impressing me. And offense is going to be the way you beat Alabama. You're not beating them in a defensive battle because they're going to score a lot of points. There's not a defense that's going to stop Alabama. So you have to score a lot of points in order to beat Alabama. And I don't think Penn State could do that. I don't think Iowa could do that. I'm not sure if Notre Dame can do that. I think it just depends on what Notre Dame team you get, because that fourth quarter was immaculate against Wisconsin. Absolutely. I mean, the struggle and then turn it up defensively in the fourth quarter. So I just look at offense is how you have to beat Alabama. I mean, that's the name of the game now in college football. Offense, points. It's not really about holding the team to 7. It's kind of the first to 40 might can win the game, especially in some of these big games.
Absolutely. And I think Ole Miss has that secret weapon with Lane Kiffin. You know what I mean? Like he was in Alabama, so he kind of knows what's going on out there. Now I want to ask you about Clemson, because Clemson is a team that we've seen, like I said earlier, they've always been like either number 1 or number 2. Feels like every single year with Trevor Lawrence. He played for so long, it felt like he was the quarterback forever. Are you convinced with the new quarterback DJU, or do you think that this dynasty is over completely because Trevor Lawrence and ATN and all those guys are gone? Or will they bounce back?
I think they'll bounce back. Like I think it's an overreaction. It's an overreaction to say that they're done. I mean, DJU is a 5-star quarterback. He's struggling. I get it. They have Justin Ross. There's a bunch of things going on with Clemson where you're like, but to say it's over with, like they still have one of the top 5 recruiting classes coming in next year for the next 2 years. So, I mean, as far as talent goes, they just got to put it together. And if this is going to have a down year, there's a lot of teams that are very vulnerable. The quarterback play around the country is very weak. It's not just Clemson that's struggling and you're looking LSU? Like, oh my God, like LSU, Ohio State. I mean, when you know, Ohio State a little bit is like there's a lot of questions at the quarterback spot. And I'm not impressed with a lot of the college quarterbacks, but these offenses are still being ran to a high level. I mean, Jack Cohen threw for 400-something yards against the defense. He never did that at Wisconsin and goes for 400-something yards. So there's some names that you've never heard of that are putting up some numbers. And there's some other names that everybody's trying to fall in love with that just aren't producing. But I wouldn't say after 2 losses, I mean, who's to say they don't run through the rest of the ACC, finish 10-2, maybe compete for an ACC championship and possibly win it. And then you'll be like, yeah, it was a down year, but it's because they set the precedent so high. It's tough to hold on to that every year. Ohio State has done it. Alabama has done it. Like, it's college football playoffs are bust for those 3 schools because that's where they've been almost every year. So they've set the precedent so high. Being a 10-2 loss team that could win the ACC championship, yes, it's a failure, but it's a slight step back. But I mean, until their recruiting class, until Dabo leaves and that recruiting class becomes outside of the top 10, I wouldn't be concerned and say this is the end of a dynasty. It's just a small wall that they hit and they got to figure some things out.
You would have thought the dynasty would have ended when the players got paid, because, Debo always said when the players got paid, it was my time to go.
Yeah, and if anybody can figure it out, it's Dabo Sweeney and Venable over there on the defensive side of the football. So yeah, I mean, Clemson, I agree. I think that a lot of people are overreacting after that loss, but or the 2 losses that they have right now.
They just hate Clemson. They letting that hate on Clemson. It's just you hate Clemson, and it's like they letting that hate like good. They finally regular, just like the rest everybody else.
Yes, we are joined live right now on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Sage Alvarez by Moe Murphy. Moe Murphy is the VP of Off the Ball Network. He has his own podcast. We'll get into that here shortly. But real quick, you're an Ohio State guy now, right?
Yeah,
that's your team. That's your squad.
That's my team. Like I got the Dallas girl. I love the Dallas Cowboys, but like I shed tears. I fight behind Ohio State. That's that's my team.
Before we get into that, what is a Buckeye?
It's a poisonous nut. Like that's what it is. It's a poisonous nut. That's what a Buckeye is, bro.
I'm a Virginia Tech fan, and people ask me all the time, "What is a hoagie?" And it's not a hoagie. It's not a sub, but it's like a little bird or something. It's like a turkey.
Yeah, like it's a poisonous nut, bro. That's what it is. Whatever. I think that's the state nut. Whatever. Like
state nut. So what? That's. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna pause. All right. So let me ask you this. Now, with that being said, who do you got in your top 4 for the college football playoff?
Bama 1,
okay.
Georgia 2.
I like Georgia with JT Daniels.
Oregon 3. I'm gonna go Oregon 3, and I'm gonna go Penn State 4. I think right now those are the top 4 teams. Oregon has probably the best win out of everybody right now. That Clemson win that Georgia got doesn't look so great now. Oregon beat Ohio State on the road. And I mean, Bama beat Florida. If you want to give them, I guess it just looks how you look at Florida and how you look at Bama. I mean, how you look at Florida and how you look at Ohio State compared. But I would say you got to put Oregon in there. They haven't flopped yet. They're still undefeated. And then Penn State, I would say right now, they're the best team in the Big Ten. I know a lot of people are real high on Iowa, but I just look at they beat Wisconsin in a defensive matchup, and they have that win against Auburn. I think that matters too, playing in it was at home, but still playing an SEC team. That was a statement for the Big Ten as a whole. That game was very important, and Penn State was able to hold it down. So I got to put them in the top 4 also. And then Georgia, I mean, outside of the first week of bad offense against Clemson, man, they haven't slowed down. I mean, they look like now they can score points. They can stop people from scoring points. Georgia looks just as good as almost anybody else.
Georgia looks really good. Now, let me ask you one final college football question, because this is like, my mind is blown at how this team has started off. That's Florida State. Florida State. Now, when I was a kid, I'm 35 years old. When I was a kid, you had Peter Ward, you had Warren Dunn, you had Charlie Ward. This team was always good. And it felt like when you had Jimbo Fisher come in, after Bobby Bowden stepped down, it felt like they were still good. But now there's this start, were they 0-3 right now? And they're getting blown out. They're getting blown out. What do you think about Florida State? And is it time for that dude to go?
I mean, they haven't figured out the coaching change since Jimbo has left. And that's kind of been the problem. I mean, when's the last time they were relevant? 2014, when they made it to the first ever playoff, got blown out by Oregon. And we haven't really heard nothing from Florida State since. I mean, you talk about like your era of talent. They just Jameis Winston, Jalen Ramsey, Calvin Benjamin, like
Dalvin Cook,
Wilder Jr. Like they had, and not all of them. I mean, those guys are great. Wilder Jr. didn't end up doing anything in the NFL, but they had like one of the most talented teams ever. Like you look at that Florida State team and like what a lot of those guys have done in the NFL, you're like, man, that's one of the most talented teams ever as far as the individual season. So Jimbo left, and it's tough when a coach is there that long and has that kind of reins on the program and leaves. It's tough to replace that. Like, especially when each year a lot of other programs, the USC, some of the programs who are dominated in relevance fall off a little bit. They're able to snag coaches, and then Florida State, like out of nowhere, Jimbo dips. And essentially, it's like it wasn't really expected. Like, but he went to the SEC, got paid a little more. He chased the money, rightfully so. And then Florida State just hasn't bounced back since. And Florida State, they ain't bounced back since. Like, and that's the problem.
Their current coach is Mike Norvell, and they thought maybe this guy could come in because he did a lot with the Memphis program. But I feel like you're gonna have to have a Florida guy in there because there's so much talent in the state of Florida. Like just in pork and beans, the neighborhood alone, in Miami alone. You got guys like Hollywood Brown coming out, Lamar Jackson. It's a lot of speed in Florida. But I feel like in order to recruit the best top classes out there, you're probably going to need a guy who knows the landscape of Florida. We are joined right now on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 by Moe Murphy. He is the vice president of the Off the Ball Network. We are live right now on CoachellaValley.com. We are also live on today'scalifornia.com and all over Twitter. Shout out to Mark Knowles. He says, hello, Palm Springs. That's where we're at. Sage, isn't it good to finally be out of the 100-degree temperature?
This was probably it was one of the most brutal summers I've ever seen in the Coachella Valley. I mean, we're talking what was it, like 10 of the 30 days in July were the hottest in history since they recorded. It was like 126 some days. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. My car AC wasn't even working at one point. I'm like, what is going on?
Man, if you got leather seats, or a leather steering wheel, you touch that steering wheel, burn marks on your hands, 3rd-degree burns. All right, so Mo, man, let's talk a little bit about this conundrum because you're an Ohio State guy, you're a Justin Fields guy. This conundrum up in Chicago in the NFL. Now we got this guy, Justin Fields, got his first NFL start. He looked terrible. The O-line looked terrible. He was sacked 9 times. Matt Nagy looked terrible. It seemed like he just can't figure out how to progress this guy. And we saw his struggles with trying to, progress Mitch Trubisky earlier, and then they had to get rid of him. So you got Andy Dalton sitting there in the sunglasses on the sideline looking like, man, I told y'all I should be the starter. Then you got Nick Foles, who won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do you feel should be the starter after this terrible performance by Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears?
I still think it's got to be Justin Fields. I don't think it's on Fields. I think it's on the head coach and the offensive coordinator and whoever else was calling those plays.
Yes.
I mean, you knew You had all week to prepare. You knew, like, it wasn't a secret that you were playing against Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yes.
Like, and JOK, who's one of the best rookie linebackers in football right now. It wasn't a secret. So for you to have looked like you did not put a game plan for Justin Fields, or you threw him in there running the offense that you run for Andy Dalton, makes no sense because he's dynamic. He can run. He can extend plays. I mean, you look at the success of what? Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, like Dak, and Dak can't move as much as those guys, but he still can move. And you see that, and you're like, I can use exactly, and I can use Justin Fields the same way. Like, and why was he not being used the same way? Mitch Trubisky was the same way. I almost have to apologize for Mitch Trubisky and realize, hey, any of you teams that need a quarterback, go get him. Like, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't him. Like, I feel bad for the guy because, like, now he's going to have to work his butt off to be a starting quarterback. And it's not because the lack of talent. They had one successful season. It's Matt Nagy's fault. He's had two quarterbacks that can run, two dynamic guys, and both of them look bad. And it's not a coincidence because Justin Fields is uber talented.
And this is what I will say, because you make a great point right there, because we're watching Sam Darnold right now. We saw what he did in New York, and we all thought Sam Darnold was just terrible. I was calling him G damn Arnold, because every time he got the ball, it seems like he was in a position to score. It seems like he was turning the ball over. But we see him go down to Carolina, and with better weapons around, in a more established organization, more respected organization, with Matt Rule, a better head coach than Adam Gase, and he's having success early on, 3-0. So you make a really good point about that. Now Justin Fields, he went 6 of 20. I feel like they did not design enough quarterback runs for him.
They didn't design enough. They just didn't design enough. I mean, like, because I look at Chicago, and like, it's not the offensive line is bad, but still, if I'm a quarterback, like, I got Allen Robinson, I got Montgomery, I got Mooney, like, I got some weapons. I got Cole Kmet at tight end. Like, I have some weapons where, like, I can do something with this. I can extend plays. I mean, if you're Allen Robinson, you got to be pissed. Like, he had 2 catches for 20 yards. I mean, and it was like, or 2 for less than 20 yards. Like, it was bad. Like, I'm Allen Robinson, and he's on a payday. Like, he's looking to get paid. He's on a contract year. And it's like, do you blame Justin Fields? He was back to getting killed. We talked about he got sacked 9 times. Myles Garrett was laughing. Reports have came. Myles Garrett was laughing. I can't believe. But he was like, it's crazy that when defensive players are laughing at what you got going on, and they're like, I can't believe they're not double teaming me ever. I was expecting Cole Kmet to chip block me at least and slow me down. And they're not doing none of that. And defensive guys know, like, you game plan for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett goes into a game expecting to be double team, triple team, quadruple team if he has to. But he didn't get none of that. And so for him to say, like, I thought they were going to game plan better for me, when defensive players are acknowledging that the offense did a horrible job, wasn't as I was dominant. It was more so they did it. That's bad. That's horrible. So Matt Nagy has to figure it out, because, I mean, he's essentially coaching for his job. And right now, like, I mean, I don't know if he makes it through the season. If you ask me, I don't think he makes it through the season. Like, he'll be lucky to make it past about week 10 or week 11. I still think you have to roll with Justin Fields, just because, like, you hope that Matt Nagy at least makes the adjustments to somewhat be successful, and you got to see what you got. Like, at the end of the day, the first year or two of your rookie quarterback is very important, because you got to see, is Justin Fields your guy for the future, and that's who you start building around in a rebuild, essentially? Or do you look a different direction and get a veteran quarterback or something else, so that you have to play him eventually? Like, we knew he was going to play this season, but I think now he done got a taste of it. He got whacked around. There's some weak opponents they got coming up. I think now is when you let him loose, but you have to let him loose as a coordinator.
Yeah, we are joined live right here on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Sage Alvarez by Moe Murphy. He is the VP of the Off the Ball Network. Make sure y'all go and check that out. Now, you're right. And the Chicago Bears, their defense used to be the staple of that team, and now they're ranked 31st in the league in the NFL, man. So that defense needs to step up. But I feel like Matt Nagy will be the first head coach to lose his job. Now, real quick, we're going to talk about this Dallas Cowboys game. It wasn't a thriller unless you're a Cowboys fan. I mean, early on it was close, but the game got out of hand. Dak Prescott looked fantastic, probably the best that he's looked, in my opinion, all season long. 21-26, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns. He should have had another touchdown. They took one away from him when he was trying to extend the ball over the.
I thought he got in. I thought he was in.
I know he was in.
They should have called it
Like
in and then
this.
reviewed it. That's why I got
That
upset.
I was upset. But I feel like the story that we have to take away from that game is that defense. That defense looked really good. And they didn't have Dexter Lawrence, but you got a star in Micah Parsons, a guy that's a dog, and he wants to get in the game. Even when they're up by 20, he still wants to go in the game after his ribs get injured. But you got to look at my man Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is a star. You guys haven't really had a shutdown corner like that since maybe Byron Jones, but this guy has 3 straight games with interceptions, and the Cowboys lead the league in takeaways right now. How are you feeling like that? How are you feeling about that, about these Cowboys?
I would say that would throw me off. Like that's what's throwing me off about Dallas is the fact that our defense is as good as they are. And they're not a top 5 defense by any means, but like you said, they're leading the league in takeaways. What's the defense supposed to do? Get the ball back. Stop an offense and get the ball back for the offense. That's what you're supposed to do. So right now, they're Dak Prescott's best friend, constantly giving him opportunities to score, and he's capitalizing on it. I mean, Trayvon Diggs, I would say right now, what he's doing, he's better than anything Byron Jones has ever done. Yes. Not to diss Byron Jones, but Byron Jones didn't take the ball away. 3 straight games, Trayvon Diggs has a pick, and he has a pick 6 on top of that. Byron Jones didn't take the ball away. He locked down the whole side of the field, but takeaways is the key, and that's what Trayvon Diggs is doing. I can't wait for Kelvin Joseph to get back just because Anthony Brown is not – I don't love him. And we got Jordan Lewis in the slot, so to have Kelvin Joseph and Trayvon Diggs on the outside. What Michael Parsons is doing, I mean, if a safety gets hurt, we'll probably put him at safety if we have to.
He's so dynamic.
Like it's what it's been. He's played linebacker. He's played defensive end, and he's answered the call every time. I mean, the one play that went viral with Tom Brady had him turn around and whatever is like, oh, he's a bust. Like, okay, bro, Tom Brady, the GOAT, the greatest quarterback we've ever seen play football. Got him on a play, got him on a read.
He has more rings than any NFL franchise.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
He's the GOAT.
So it's like, so because you got by him on a play with the way Tom Brady, oh, now he was a bust. He looks amazing. Like I didn't love the pick when we got him, only because I was so all in on having a shutdown corner, and I was looking at Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn. But I look at it now, we grabbed what everybody said was the best defensive player in the draft. He's been nothing short of that. And our defense has been amazing for coming off of the historically worst defense, not only as Cowboys had, but like the NFL has ever seen. Yeah. One of the 5 worst historically defenses ever.
Terrible.
To this, leading the league in takeaways through 3 games, having played Tom Brady and Justin Herbert are 2 quarterbacks that we have played against. I get it with Jalen Hurts, but we have played against Tom Brady and Justin Herbert also. I mean, we look really good. I think we run away with the division.
You're right.
But I mean, you play defense like that and you can score 30+ points at any given moment. I mean, that's the keys to a very successful season. Whatever that may be, I'm not going to be the Cowboys fan that's going to project any farther than at least winning the division and going to the playoffs. But we have the keys to success barring injury. I mean, we got injuries that still look great. So that's what's scary come middle of the season is we got some key injuries and we still look great. So it's exciting if you're a Cowboys fan right now.
And you know what? I've never seen Jerry Jones look that comfortable up in the booth. Like, he always looks like he's ready to bite his nails.
It's been a while.
He looks like he done had a couple sips of tequila. He looks like he's chilling, like he's happy.
He's enjoying it. It's been a while.
You know what?
It's been so long.
I think that the main problem was the defense, like you said, and they addressed that by going out and getting a defensive coordinator in Dan Quinn who had the Legion of Boom. And they were booming. I mean, they had Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman, but he was putting them in positions to be successful. And then you also go out and draft the first 6 draft picks you get defensive players. And you got some players that haven't even made statements yet that are ready to go. So I feel like Dallas is looking really good. Now, I wanted to talk real quick about Jalen Hurts because he looks so hurt, pun intended, on the sideline. Like, I mean, there was times where, he just couldn't get anything going. There was times where the screen wasn't there. There was that one interception that we talked about earlier with Trayvon Diggs where, and this is my opinion, okay? Now quarterbacks have interceptions that aren't their fault a lot of times. It goes off the receiver's hands. The receiver falls down like Devontae Smith did yesterday. I feel like wide receivers should get credited with interceptions, like with those interceptions. So, because at the end of the day, the quarterback, basically he ran the 5-and-out route and Jalen Hurts, that's a timing route. He knows he's going to be there at a certain time. Devontae Smith falls down, boom, and your boy Diggs is right there. He takes it to the house. So yeah, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like I feel like it's a little bit drastic? You know, it's a kind of a crazy concept, but wide receivers get these guys interceptions all the time, and I feel like it's not fair.
A lot.
It's not a crazy concept though, because like now, I mean, the slip that happens, that's kind of on the quarterback too. You anticipate a route, but sometimes you have to let it break. But even the whole like, bro, if he's going down the middle, a 3-yard slant comes down the middle, it hits both his hands, bounces off, and it's a pick. Like, that's not on the quarterback. Like, he gets credited the interception, but that's not on him. Like, there's just plays where like everybody will go crazy and you just be mad. Like, if you're a fan of that team, like, you be mad like at the receiver. You don't be like, Jalen Hurts, what kind of pass was that? It was a bad pick. He underthrew the receiver when we picked it in the end zone. That was a bad, like, that was an underthrow. That was all on him. But at the same time, like, you'll see quarterbacks throw 10, 12 picks. So you'll be like 3 or 4 of those probably wasn't their fault. Yeah. So like the numbers can be a little shaky sometimes, but that's what it takes. Like when you do this, when you talk about these things, you got to watch the games and know what you're watching because you can criticize a guy for having, the casual fans will be like, he had three interceptions. But like, if you really watched it, sometimes they'll be like, bro, all three of his picks were receivers dropping passes, popping them up in the air, and they weren't bad passes. So now you're like, that's not all on him, but the numbers and analytically right now, he looks completely bad.
Absolutely. Now we only got about 4 minutes left here on Go Long Live with Very Long 2 and Sage Alvarez. We are joined live by Moe Murphy. He is the vice president of Off the Ball Network, and I can talk to this dude all damn day.
I told you, Barry.
Hey,
I
Sage,
told you.
Sage, now let me ask you, Sage, because we did get to the Sunday night thriller between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron Rodgers, this guy, look at that picture. First of all, I hate the long hair. I mean, I hate it because Aaron Rodgers, he was considered, attractive to a lot of females out there. And now that's not Aaron Rodgers. That's Darren Rodgers. That's what I'm calling him because I don't know who that dude is. But he showed up, man. He showed up really well. And the Green Bay Packers kind of dominated that game for most of the time. But Jimmy Garoppolo was able to engineer a drive at the end of the game where they got a touchdown. And they left 37 seconds on the clock. And they thought that was enough time to end the game. Like, there's no way Aaron Rodgers, like Tom Brady, you would think 37 seconds is not even enough for Tom Brady. But Aaron Rodgers was able to make a couple throws, based off that soft coverage that they were playing. And they were able to get Mason Crosby in a position to win the game. Now, Sage, I want to ask you this, man. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is officially back?
He's always been here. He just had to wake up. And
I like that.
It was just a simple of, when things went wrong in that first game, it just went completely wrong. And there was no coming back from that. So now when he got the RELAX Rodgers, he's like, he just wanted to let you guys know he's still here. And, absolutely. And it's crazy. To be honest, I'm more disappointed in the Niners defensive play calling when it was atrocious. They have a better defense than what that last drive was. And it's unexcusable. Terrible play calling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How you feel about the game when you was watching it, Moe Murphy?
Yeah, I think I'm with Sage. Like, Aaron Rodgers never went nowhere. Like you said, he had to wake up. Like, he's coming off he didn't really participate in the offseason. Right. He had everybody thinking he wasn't all in, but he is. Like, at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He going to make the plays that's needed. And you don't think, like, I know there's a few quarterbacks that 30-something seconds is too much time. And Aaron Rodgers is one of them. He always has been. So I don't know why everybody, like, there are people who are surprised. He's always been in that list. He's still always been in that list. Like, if there's anybody I'm going to put the ball in the hands, you give me Peyton Manning, you give me Brady, you give me Rodgers, you give me Mahomes. Like, that list of guys throughout my era is guys I'm rocking with 30-something seconds.
Not yet.
He did it. To Lamar's credit. A fourth and 19 throw.
No way.
With no timeouts, got Justin Tucker in the position.
I'm not.
There was first off, it took a historic kick. One and two. It was a crazy delay of game.
I'm just playing.
That should have been a delay of game that would have backed them up anyway. Hey. But I mean, Lamar's on his way. I wish him nothing but success. He's on his way, but I think he's got to be put in position a little more to prove himself as far as being that game. He's never been in a game-winning drive.
He's got to grow.
Yeah. He hasn't been in that game-winning drive situation.
That's what we're waiting on that. We're waiting on that progression from he's that great right now, but can he get to the point where we're comfortable saying he's playing in his 30s? Not maybe.
I think he needs a receiver.
Yeah, because in order,
I think he needs a receiver.
I agree with that.
It's just not fair.
He's going to have to be able to. He's going to have to progress in that passing game. He's going to have to protect his body a little bit more than what he does. All right, so we got a little bit of time left. We always do the meme of the day. This is the meme of the day. I want to show y'all, like, because when I see this picture of Aaron Rodgers, I'm just like, man, he's let himself go. But this guy's really let himself go. If "Do You Have a Cigarette" was a person, that is Justin freaking Bieber, man. Like, like what? Maybe he didn't have enough sleep the night before. He didn't shave. He didn't do his hair, and he threw on that, that hoodie that makes him look like he doesn't have a home. But at the end of the day, man, I can't believe that. Don't you feel old looking at Justin Bieber that old?
Man, I just feel like that's what these like I say, that's what these 2021 drugs do to you. these drugs today are different. That's what they do to you. Justin Bieber, like the same age as me. Like he ain't much older than me, and he looked like that. And like I'm looking like I'm alive and kicking it. So like that's what drugs do. That's what that is.
Hey, real quick, we don't have much time. Moe Murphy, tell us about Off the Ball Network and your podcast and where they can find you online.
Yeah, well, just first where you can find me at Up in Flames Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Mo_Cheese15 personal account. I'm more active on there. Like I said, I'm the host of the Up in Flames Sports Podcast, always talking college football, NBA. I be on Dash Radio every Monday. And then Off the Ball Network, I'm the VP there. Shout out to Chris LeBron, the president, Off the Ball Podcast, and the owner of Off the Ball Network, and Jeff, the other VP. Bro, what we do over there is great. We got a lot of people write articles, podcasts, live shows. We do it all over there. And it's great content. It's not a bunch of BS necessarily mainstream media. It's just like this. Guys who really know their stuff get together and talk sports. Give them a mic and they could go all day. And essentially that's what we do over there Off the Ball Network. We got articles. So you listed just a bunch of great stuff.
You listed all your credentials, but you forgot to add permanent guests on this show.
Well, hey, I mean, but before I even do that, I got to bring y'all over on mine. So definitely got to. I always return the favor, especially when y'all are great too. It's not like y'all bring me on and y'all are great, bro. I was honored to get on here, so I appreciate y'all for having me on. And for anybody listening, go to offtheballnetwork.com for all your sports season entertainment articles coming every day. Go check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Off the Ball Network. That's where you'll find everybody. But I appreciate y'all for having me on, bro.
We thank you, man. We thank you, man. We'll talk soon, brother.
All right.
Appreciate you, bro.
So Sage, man, great show, man. Great show, man. That's it. Shout out to you for getting in touch with Moe Murphy. And yesterday, you saw how my Dennis Rodman poster fell off, right?
We saw.
He laughed like in the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, where he had to go to Vegas. My man was trying to go to Vegas. You better stay, Dennis. You better stay. Hey, so Sage, tell them where they can find you out on Twitter, because you are the man.
And you can find me at SageDub, and you can find me on Facebook at Sage Alvarez. All I do is a friend.
And I'm on Instagram as BarryLong_2, Twitter at Radio Barry Long, and on Facebook at BarryLong_II. We want to thank once again Moe Murphy, the vice president of Off the Ball Network. Thank you, Sage. Great show today, man. And remember, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow. But go out there and remember, you stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired. And remember, you're capable of doing anything. We also want to thank Mark Knowles for commenting in. Peace. See y'all.